And welcome to another weekly review. It is week 3, and we are going to be giving you all of the stats that have happened for the last week, giving you all of the updates, as well as talking about a very important topic. We're going to be going over some time management strategies because that clock is clicking very quickly down to the start of the contest. And I know that all of you are probably just like me, stressing out and scrambling to get everything done before May 15th happens. So let's dive in and check out. So, quick disclaimer, please, take everything I say with a grain of salt. I do my best to make this video as accurate as possible, but just know that things could be off a little bit because of, I'm doing a lot of the stats myself. So, this is just a basis going forward. So let's talk about this week's totals. So currently, as of Monday, there are 1,323 entries, which still to me is very surprising how low the submission totals are. I really felt like we would be pushing 2K at least, but it seems like, the entries are just like slowly rolling out. And I guess we should expect that everyone's just going to enter this contest like last minute. So currently, the series that has the most entries is the epic category. That category is turning out to be much more competitive than I thought it would be. I mean, I'm very excited about it. I feel like the more epic comics, the better. I love fantasy. I love action. Like, that's kind of the wheelhouse that I would love Webtoons to have a more like diverse comics on the platform from that category specifically. And so it makes me happy that a lot of people have interest in entering into the contest in this area. So maybe this will open Webtoon's eyes a little more to market those original comics a little more and really look out for those comics and kind of develop that side of the platform more. Feels is in second place. It has 357 entries, which is still a lot in comparison, but I really thought that this one would be dominating. I'm kind of surprised. I know there's a lot of people that I've talked to that haven't entered the contest yet that are planning to enter in the Phil's category. So I guess we'll just see if that, position is just going to explode here in the next few weeks or not. I'm keeping my eye on them. Then we have most gripping at 248. Which it's kind of surprising that gripping is in last place because, I mean, it's only by a few, but I really felt like gripping, feels, and epic would have been the top 3. But the top 3 for this week is actually epic, feels, and laughs. Laughs is at 253. So maybe we're going to find out that laughs is kind of like the sleeper category, and maybe it'll end up being the one that dominates everything. Thor Store, hello. I just started streaming a few minutes ago. So here are the weekly totals. I'm very interested to see how these numbers continue to develop, and I'm really interested to see like which category by May 15th will be the one in first place, because as of right now, I feel like any of these categories could kind of skyrocket. Inked Vision said, I'm entering most gripping. Yeah. So there's a lot of people that I feel like are just entering categories that I'm really hoping that all of I have nothing against the romance category, but I'm really hoping that the numbers for these other categories are high, and maybe it'll show Webtoons that, people are interested in more stories than just romance. I do know that they release a bunch of different stories, but I feel like the stories that get the most marketing are the romance comics. And I just feel like from a business standpoint, you have to market other things in order for them to be relatively successful, especially in this day and age where we have so many things that can crowd out like other things. Like Webtoon's own platform crowds out other stuff. Like you post your comic and it gets buried by 15 million other comics. So I'm just hoping that this might kind of open the eyes of people at the top and be like, okay, maybe we should invest a little bit more in these other categories. The popularity stats for this week are actually really, really interesting. We still have Love Struck in first place, which, hey, I'm going to give them their flowers. They have been the reigning king for the last few weeks, which is awesome. That's very amazing. But To Hunt a Vampirist is right behind them. Like, if we look at the number of likes, Love Struck is at 3,564, and To Hunt a Vampirus is at 3,508. So, like, right on their heels. Like, they are coming for them. And then if we look at their stats, the stats are really, really interesting because Vampirus kind of beats Love Struck at everything. Like the sub count, Vampirus is at 5,000 plus. Comments, Vampirus is at 315. And then views, Vampirus is at 22,690. They did just post again, whereas Love Struck just kind of like set it and forget it. But the thing that's interesting about this is we kind of are seeing like the different strategies at war here. So Love Struck already had a following, already had a fan base, and so maybe they just entered the contest on a whim. Like they were like, hey, I already have the episodes, I'm just going to post it. If I win, great. If I don't win, great. And so the last time they posted was March 11th, whereas we see that To Hunt a Vampirus, the last post that they did was March 28th. So they did get a boost in engagement, whereas Love Struck, I feel like, has been hovering around the same amount of numbers. And if we look at Vampirus numbers compared to last week, they did get a significant view boost in almost everything. So I think Love Struck is going to be dethroned next week. But hey, if they can hold out for another week, that would be really, really cool. So I guess what I'm trying to say here is, you know, for future contests, this looks like it would be a very smart strategy to, you know, spread out your episodes and post weekly or bi-weekly or something like that to make sure that your comic is continuing to be seen, if that's something that's important to you. I personally don't think the numbers are that important to Webtoons. I think Webtoons wants a series that has significant engagement, but not necessarily break down the house engagement. Like if it does have that sort of engagement, of course, that is a benefit to you. That's a benefit to any platform that works off of social engagement. But I think if the story is relatively decent and they can see from the comments, the likes, the subs that people are to a reasonable degree engaging with it, then they can see the potential that the series will have. And then number 3, we have Chronicles of Another World. And this series, I mean, it's really interesting because I think the episode count is really what helps to boost this series. I haven't read this series. I haven't read any of these series, but I just find it really, really interesting how they decided to go a completely different strategy and post like 11 episodes. They also were one of the people that kind of like set it and forget it type, but I just find like all of these strategies to be so different. And so we learn a lot about um, how different strategies can be successful on the platform. So this is where I go in to tell you to don't just worry per se about like what's the best strategy. Just come up with a decent strategy that has some sort of decent plan and it can be successful, because each one of these creators for the popularity stats all went a very different route. Thorstore said, I think they just won't count it because the panels don't match, but they have like 4 episodes, so they're probably good. What are we talking about? Did I miss something? Cog said, but Love Struck's 0 episode has 20 panels. Yeah, I will be interested to see if that counts against them, because there was a clarification about the rules where it says like, what did it say? you can have like Q&A episodes, cover episode, as long as it's labeled properly. So I wonder, because I think their episode 0 is labeled as a prologue. I wonder if that'll count against them or not. This is where I feel like there needs to be even more clarification of rules, but I feel like I can't harp on Webtoons too hard because they did kind of clarify a lot of things. So it's one of those instances where I'm like, dude, Webtoons for once kind of did, help to clarify stuff in that last newsletter. So I'm just like, okay then. Like, can I ask for even more clarification? Like, I don't know. I feel like I shouldn't feel guilty to ask for that, but low key I kind of do. And so that's just like that mentality where it's like, oh no, they threw us a bone, so let me just sit in the corner and not ask any more questions. They already answered one. But actually, the more I think about it, I think it behooves them to engage with the community and to answer questions that can be confusing or help people to put themselves in better positions. Although, here's the thing about this. If Webtoons really wants Lovestruck, at the end of the day, they're the ones who give out contracts. So even if Lovestruck is disqualified, like if Webtoons really wants them after the contest, they can just reach out to them. They did that with Instant Miso. Like, she did not win the contest that she entered, but she totally ended up winning in the long run because Webtoons was like, actually, your series is very valuable to us. So thank you, and let's go 3 for 3. Like, she's on like her 3rd series now, so you never know. So I would say don't worry too much about being disqualified. Okay, and I'm going to start including a little screenshot of the top 10 that are in the popularity stats, just because I feel like this is a good way to gauge a lot of what's going on in the community. And so I just want to show this to you guys. So screenshot it, look at it, see what the top series are. This is still by likes, so maybe next week I'll do it by subs, just so we can keep getting a fresh view on what the stats look like who's in the top. And we can kind of see, like, looking at the images here, all of the cover images, it's all very different styles, which I love. Like, I really, really enjoy the fact that so many different styled series are gaining traction on the platform, are trending in the most popular categories in Webtoons, because like it's a little refreshing to a certain extent, because like a lot of the imported comics have a very similar feel to them, which there's nothing wrong with having a specific style. Like, having a style is very awesome, and like every artist, I feel like, wants like people to be able to recognize their style and be like, oh my god, this is the Studio Ghibli, like this is from I don't know, I can't think of any artists. It's 3 a.m. here, but and Studio Ghibli's on my mind because of all of the controversies surrounding it right now. So it's just one of those things where I'm just like, it's really important to see that regardless of what your drawings look like, even if they don't look like manhwa or look in a particular like anime style or whatever, it can find success on the platform. Uh, Fanny said Purple Hyacinth didn't win either, but they offered a contract anyway. Yeah. Like, that's a thing. I feel like a lot of the originals, some of them were kind of found from the contest, and so it just ended up like if Webtoons really wants you, they'll get you. Like, don't worry about it. Like, do not stress about winning the contest. Stress about putting forth a really good story and putting forth something that is engaging to the community, and thinking about all of those things, because at the end of the day, I feel like that's what's going to save you. That's what's going to be the thing that helps you to cross that finish line. Like, winning the contest would be nice, I guess, because you're guaranteed like a certain lump sum of money. But also, if they do reach out to you, negotiate. Be like, I need $5,000 up front. Like, don't be ashamed. Don't be ashamed to ask things. Don't be like me. Don't be like, oh, Webtoons, you gave me a bone. No. This is business. Webtoons, you owe me money. You owe me money for all of the years that I spent on Webtoon Canvas, working for you for free, releasing content for you for free. Okay, so let's jump into um the topic for this week. And so I really want to talk about time management just because, like, this is something that's really important. As the contest continues to dwindle itself down, I more and more am like, oh my God, am I going to be able to complete the contest? And so I'm kind of making a lot of these like weekly topics based off of my own like crisis that are happening in my own life because I definitely feel that it's important to make sure that we kind of be transparent about some things and talk about certain issues that are happening within the community. And it's really nice to be able to talk about some of this stuff firsthand because it's things that I'm going through that we can just yap about for a second. By Ink Vision, I'm so glad you got to join. I'm really excited to have the chance to be able to talk to new people. I'll have to plan like a very, very midnight stream, sort of early boarding stream in the future so that I can talk to other random people. Miss Milan said, even without Webtoon's interests, you can build an audience from your story. Yes, to be honest, if I had any suggestions to anyone, I would say if you can build your own story. Oh no, I gotta sneeze. oh, oh my good grief. Sorry. That literally came out of nowhere. If you can build your own audience without webtoons, that's honestly the best route to go. Like, there are so many creators that are making like 10K plus on Patreon every month, and honestly, having that sort of power is so much more freeing than working for webtoons. Like, there's no question about how much you're making. There's no question about like if money is being held back from you. Like, you are the one making everything. Now that does put a significant more amount of pressure on you because, like, I guess with webtoons it's kind of like a guaranteed weekly check. But the thing about it is, like, they both have their own risks because webtoons can also end your contract at any time. So there's a lot of things that are going on. I can't remember if I said hi to Jay or not, but hello, Jay. Okay. So let's talk about this time management stuff. So, what I've been finding that has been working for me a little bit is to plan stuff in batches. So, like, if I'm, storyboarding, it really helps for me to have like a goal when I sit down to storyboard. So I'll, like, for instance, maybe I'll sketch multiple episodes before finalizing them. Maybe I'll storyboard all of the episodes before finalizing them, like just little things like that. Try and set priorities. So focus on those like really important details, like what's important. Is it going to be for this panel the face? Is it going to be the background for this? Is it going to be the perspective? And then like the other panels, try and simplify. So like, how are my money shots? Do my money shots look good? Like, this is going to be the thing that is for the audience. This is going to be the thing that is for me or whatever. And so just like set priorities as you're working. This will help you to stay focused and make you realize like, okay, I don't need every single panel to be a freaking illustration. Would I love that? Absolutely. But that is insanity. And as someone who, whose first episode I feel like lends itself more to like being an illustration than anything else, I feel that I wasted so much time, perfecting like little tiny panels that probably someone will spend like 1 second on. Like, they probably won't even see it. I'll be like, oh, did you notice that there was like a thud on this panel? And they'll be like, no. Okay, next, use assets and shortcuts. So this is something that I kind of feel from, working on my first episode. I wish I had more pre-made backgrounds. Like, my mentality was to kind of like draw out, a few backgrounds and then kind of like move from there. But I realized that making backgrounds is so hard. There's so much information, so many details, so many things to consider to make like the illustration or the panel or whatever you're doing fit. And I wish I had thought about this a little more and how much work is involved, because in my mind I was just like, oh, I'll just make a few panels and reuse them, and I feel like that is backfiring on me a little bit, because some of the stuff I'm just like, man, I really wish like like this looks like a reused panel. But hey, I mean, originals do it all the time, like professionals do it all the time, but I mean, I can't worry about it. Like, I'm just trying to make it to the deadline. But that is something for like future contests or for my own projects I'll consider doing before releasing, like just having some pre-made background type stuff done, especially if your comic is in a complicated space. Like, I don't know if your setting is in a gym. Like, there's so much equipment in a gym, and it would be so annoying to have to draw like gym stuff every single episode, or having to incorporate different gym stuff every single episode. Like, that would be insanity, like too much work. So this is where I go into the copy pasting repeated elements. So I do kind of really, really, really like this. Like, I feel like it's really, really important to be able to make panels that you can copy paste. Like, I feel like it would have been really smart for me personally to think about, like, okay, what establishing shots can I reuse? What character shots can I reuse and save them? Like, all of that stuff is super duper important. And in the long run, it benefits you so much. And so I think if I could go back in time, I would have spent a little more time thinking about like what panels, like working smarter, like what panels can I reuse to a reasonable degree, instead of like having an illustration where it's like the character head is good and then I draw the background, but it's like, I could have really reused this background in other panels, but because I didn't finish drawing it, now I have to draw it so that it fits for the other panels and whatnot. And so just thinking about that type of stuff would have been really, really impactful and really would have sped up my process. And then I've been talking to people a little bit about like brushes and textures to speed up the coloring process. And so there's so many things. Like, I'm not doing my own coloring, like I'm getting help with it, but I really can see the benefit in making sure to kind of like take advantage of Clip Studio, or take advantage of like going on the internet and buying buying some brushes that could speed up your process, especially like maybe you have characters that like manipulate elements, or you have characters that are have all of these like deep emotional feeling type moments. Like, having like a pattern brush or having like a brush that can make like an element would have been really, really beneficial, and could actually upgrade or enhance what you're making. So do not be crazy. Like, do some research and really scour the internet to find things that could help you, like, just with the overall workflow, because it's too much work. We do not have enough time to be the colorist, to be the flattest, the renderer, the line art, the onomatopoeia, the special effects. Like, all of that could go, like, each one of those things is an individual job in a studio, I feel like. So I just really feel that it's super important to be kind to yourself and do not work yourself into the grave. My next thing I would say is to avoid perfectionism. We've kind of been talking about perfectionism a lot, and it's one of those things where it's really hard to overcome, I feel, because like, especially if this is your first time making a comic, or if maybe it's your second time, I feel like it's really, really, really hard to sit down and think about your story and have all of these illustrations or images or ideas of how you want the story to look. And then when you get down to it and you're in the crunch of it, you're on a deadline, you're like, I have to sacrifice the look of this panel because I just do not have the time to like illustrate it in the way that I envisioned it. So it just has to be good enough, but not necessarily amazing. And so this is where I feel the more I contemplate on it, the more I stew on it. The art, a lot of times when it's super, super pretty, I feel like it's more for the artist than it is for the readers, because Webtoon readers are more engaged with like a compelling story than super polished art. Now, does super polished art help? Yes, yes, yes. Like, if you watch any sort of anime reviewer, any sort of comic reviewer, they do talk about art style. Like, people do consider it, but I think there's a difference in having like a very pretty or very clean or very like aesthetically appealing art style compared to, doing a like 17-hour render on a panel. Like that's what I'm saying. Like there's differences in how to go about like creating what you want to create. Van said reusing panels is smart unless you overdo it. Yeah, yeah. See, I think there's instances where you can reuse a panel and make it look different, and I just haven't acquired that skill yet myself. So I will say, like, consider what panels you're going to reuse and consider how you can make those panels look different at the same time, because it could be, adding a different gradient onto it. Like maybe if you're able to change the angle of the panel, like there's a bunch of things that you can do where it makes it feel like it's not the same panel, and it's not so easily like, did they just like copy paste this? um Vance said, the times I reuse panels are when characters remain in roughly the same position and I just change the expression or anything else needed. Yeah, I agree with that. Like, it's really important to just kind of figure out, like, how to go about, like, making the panel not stand out as much. Like, maybe even putting an effect over it. Like, you could blur it out in the background. Like, that could work too. Um, Grim, or no, I'm not sure how to pronounce your name. Like my mind is not working tonight. So I'm just gonna say Rim. Rim said characters move panel to panel, so it's hard to fit the same background. If you're going for dynamic panels, just simplify the background so it's easier to draw and make it look different. I agree with that. Like, I do think it can be hard. I was just thinking in terms of like sometimes like what panels you reuse is important. Like if you're worried about the overall aesthetic, like thinking about that as you're going forward. Because if you look at a lot of the originals, a lot of them use like gradients or just like a solid background, or they use something to kind of like, convey the emotion. Like maybe there's hearts in the background, maybe there's like those circle, elliptical, like I'm in my feelings sort of feeling background type things. Like maybe there's the dot dot dot. Like there's a bunch of things that you can do to incorporate to convey the message more clearly than just putting like, oh, I'm going to put the I don't know, the background here again. Like there's a bunch of ways you can go about like fixing the overall look of the panel without just reusing backgrounds over and over. Reina, hello. I'm glad you were able to catch a live. Just another human being. A win is a win. A win is when you have both, but sometimes you can without either too. Like Witch Hat Altaria is most famous not just for art and story, but its unique paneling style. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff I feel like you can go about doing to like really help overall make the story so much better and more engaging. Like there's just so much that goes into comic making. Like it's more than just art and writing, to be honest. Rem said, reusing same faces with slight variation to emphasize the expression hits too. Yes, 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 yes. I love this. Like, exactly, exactly. I honestly feel like doing like expression sheets for your characters is so beneficial, because I definitely feel like you can just, like, one, you already know what the expression looks like. You can already figure out, like, oh, this is how they look angry, this is how they look sad, and like that really really helps speed up the process instead of you having to sit there and figure out like, what does this actually look like. Raccoon Cube said, I turn it into a game. Can you spot the reused paddles? Guess correctly, and you get a cameo in the comic. Oh, dang. That's kind of funny. Ooh. Okay, Raccoon, bet. Egyptian said, I can't believe I caught a stream. LOL. It's like 4:30 a.m. for me. Yeah. This is one of those like happy coincidence circumstances. Hilton said, I sometimes blur out the background to focus on the MC's emotion or overlay colors. Yeah, that's important too. Like, there's a bunch of things you can do when you reuse a panel to make it where it's not just a reused panel. Beanworms, hello. Or you can do a zoom in for focus too. Yes, I'm loving all of these suggestions. Rena said, what sucks is that if you haven't used assets before, it's very time consuming to learn how to. At least for me, I'm dumb, so I just hand draw. Hey, that was my mentality too, because I'm like, I don't want to learn another program, to be honest. And if I do sit down to learn another program, it's going to take up so much time from what I've been doing. But honestly, I don't think it would have taken up that much time. I think if I had done like 30 minutes a day, like I would have been much further than I am now. Like if I, let's say I had started learning the program when the contest was announced, like by the end of the contest, that would have been 6 months. Jay said, I made a head sheet for my character with 20 plus angles to use as a base, which helps. Oh my God, Jay. I kind of want to see this. I feel like that would be really, really cool. Like, that would be a good reference. Like, Jay, share this with us. We need to see it. Van said, spot the reuse panels also sounds like a fun way to increase audience engagement. Oh my God, you guys are right. That's actually big brain. Like maybe at the end of the episode, you could be like, did you guys, for all of you creators out there, did you spot the reuse panels? If so, comment below. Winners get a cameo. I could actually make that work in my comic because I have audience in the story, like because my story is based on like a reality show, and so there's like an audience, like they're around an arena, and so there's like audience panels, and then there's like the participants as well. Like I could totally do tons of cameos. That would be so much fun. Corpse, hello. I'm so glad that you could join. I've never gotten a chance to talk to you. Miss Milan, just do 2 panels for the setting, then do zoom in shots for the rest of the scene. I feel that. I feel that. Pollo, my fearless cult leader. Yes, yes, yes. I snuck away in the middle of the night to live stream. Wait, I just got here. Was the delayed stream an April Fool's joke? It wasn't. It was I fell asleep. Beanworm said 3D models for characters are helpful, but I need to develop the patience to post them. That is a skill in of itself. I've actually been learning a lot. Like it's so much work, but it's definitely worth it. Like put in the work for it, Beans. You can do it. Jay said I'll put the head sheet in the Discord later. Yes, 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 yes. I'm excited to see this. Like, am I going to steal this, Jay? Absolutely. Abso-freaking-lutely. King Lucas said, oh my God, that's what I did. I studied new apps like SketchUp and just started my comic on the end of February. Exactly. Just do it. Kilton said SketchUp is quite easy to use. You can literally add up free or buy assets and play Sims 4 home building. I love Sims 4. I've actually been thinking about playing and downloading it again. I just don't have time. Okay. So I have this last tip down there, and it says many webtoon artists use flat colors and good lighting instead of complex shading to save time. And so I felt like that was really important to say, because for anyone who's doing rendering on their comic, look at the originals, look at the imported comics, look at, just look at the professional, I'm air quoting, comics in general, and really see how many panels they actually render. I feel like it's very rare for you to find comics that are like highly rendered. Like a lot of them are just using gradients, are just using like very simple shading, and are for the most part using flats. Like there's so many comics where I'm looking at it and like literally everything is in flat but the character's face and hair. So I'll just say this, like, if you feel obligated to render because you want to create beautiful illustrations, go and look at your favorite comics and look and see if they're hyper rendering their comic. Okay, so I just want to go over these tips a little bit. And so, because I feel like these are a little bit of pitfalls and traps that can really help with time management. So, simplifying your coloring and shading style. So, use flat colors with minimal shading. So, just try it. Like, it's going to take, I think, a little bit of trial and error to figure out like what makes you happy. But I feel like it's so much more important to do the flats with minimal shading, and then kind of, figure out like what the lighting is more than it is to like hyper render, add a bunch of colors, like, do a bunch of different things on the skin tone. So like it's one of those instances where I feel that, you know, don't over what's the right word, don't overdo it, especially if it's your first comic. Focus on finishing. Like, that is the mindset we need to be in. Like, if you're still on episode 1 right now, like, focus on finishing. Okay. Uh Rena said, Ordilla is my favorite webtoon, and I think it's the most rendered comic on the platform, so I'm doomed. Okay, go to your second. Go to your second favorite comic, okay? Like, Ordeal. Okay, there's a bunch of comics on the Webtoons platform where I'm just like, this is gorgeous. This is an illustration. Like, the level of attention to the art style is beyond me. So I will just say this. For comics like that, ignore them. Like, there's no way to compete, to be honest. Like it's just so much work. It's beautiful though, and it's worth it, but also you're in a contest. I get it, you want those beautiful panels, but also be kind to yourself. Focus on finishing, please. Okay, then my next tip would be to use gradients. Um, with gradients, it's surprising how quickly I feel like you can develop depth without heavy rendering. How quickly like a gradient can help to convey the emotion, the mood, the tone, whatever you're trying to do. So I would say, if possible, like, just add a gradient to the background and see if it conveys what it needs to convey over doing a overly rendered background. Like, if you've established the environment they're in, if you've established what they're doing, adding a gradient background here and there instead of having a background in every panel actually benefits the story sometimes a lot more, because it can help to focus the emotion. It can help to focus like what you're trying to do. Like, there's a lot of things that, having those breaks in the comic can help with. So it's a strategic thing where you need to plan it out correctly so that the emotion and the feeling, and like, it's not jarring to the reader. So I would just say, like, remember that there are instances where you don't have to have a hyper detailed background for every single panel. My last thing here was going to be soft shading instead of detailed line shading. Saves a lot of time. So just kind of think about like areas where you can like sometimes a panel needs shading. Like, you can't get away with just flats. Like, you need it to convey like an angle, or maybe like, for instance, let's say your character raises their head, so like the shading needs to be on there so like it doesn't look as weird. Because like, for me, I've been learning so much as I've been drawing my first episode, that like certain things just don't look right without shading. Like, it needs like a drop shadow, or it needs like an above light or something to make the panel not feel as awkward. And so there's just going to be instances where we have to figure out like, okay, what panels need shading, what panels don't. And then if you do go into shading it, like do some soft shading. Do some cell shading. And then I was going to say, this is another instance, like a really, really good example of a webtoon that does this to me is Your Smile is a Trap. Like, literally, it's straight up flats. Like, I feel that even their backgrounds a lot of times are just gradients or it's just the character in a white space. And it works for the comic, and the comic's really popular. And that's why I say, like, look at a lot of these like more popular webtoons and see what they're doing, because they are not overly rendering their backgrounds. They are not, like they're doing all of these time-saving methods, and it's really, really important. Jay said a simple gradient can do so much to a scene. It's crazy. It is crazy. It's literally the craziest. I promise. Kilton said I'm guilty of rendering beyond what's necessary. Listen. I feel like people are going to enjoy like those panels, but also they're going, like, instead of like looking at the panel for 1 second, they'll look at it for like 5 seconds. Now I will say there have been some panels like in Dagger to the Heart that I will go back and look at, because I just find like the paneling, the coloring, the long scrolling flow that it has so amazing that I just can't help but be like overtaken by the art. Like I'm just like, I just need to look at the art. I think Made of Stardust does that too, or Deal does that. So like you can learn from them, but I would say temper that a little bit, because like they are working on a high level. Not that you can't work at a high level, but I'm just saying, like, if we're in crunch mode where we still got like all 3 episodes to do or 2 episodes to do, like, you just focus on finishing. Manage your time. Dan said, I find the soft light blending mode very useful for harmonizing the colors and values and backgrounds. I agree. Cod said, when I need to do fast shading, I use airbrush. Yeah, I haven't used that before, so maybe it's something I'll try. I'm not doing my own coloring, so I mean, I'm leaving that up to my colorist. So my biggest issue is I'm like overly, like, I'm really trying my hardest to make the line art pretty, and I know I shouldn't be at this point. I'm like, dude, just move on. The Chainsaw Maniac, yo, ain't it late over there, Apollo? It is 3:43 a.m. So yes. I'm being healthy. I promise, guys. I promise. Okay, next, let's speed up artwork without sacrificing quality. So this is where I want to say I was kind of touching on earlier about using assets. So making things that are reusable is so very important. Like, I think it's been mentioned, but learning a program like SketchUp or looking at Acon 3D or whatever other, asset place you can find that can help you with your process is so important. So backgrounds, I say draw key locations once and reuse them. So I agree with this, but I also have found that there have been instances where I did not draw the location correctly. Like, I drew it to cut corners, and then I ended up needing a different angle of the background that I wanted to show, and I'm just like, dang it. And so I reused the panel anyway, but I wish I had thought about what I was going to reuse and how I was going to reuse it and the way I wanted it to look, because there are a lot of instances where I feel like it would have been really beneficial to use some forethought about like what the reuse panels were going to look like, opposed to how I ended up reusing them. It still works, it just doesn't work the way I wanted it to. So posing expressions, we talked about this earlier. Jay mentioned this. Create a library of commonly used character poses and facial expressions. This is really important. I kind of did this in my prep work with turnarounds, because I wanted to know what the character's outfit looked like from the front, the side, and the back, just so that it would speed up my own time, which has been really helpful as I've been drawing it myself. But I feel like you can do this for your character expressions. You can, if you know that you're going to use certain poses, especially if you have like an action comic, like if you have a scene in mind, you can go ahead and start, looking up references or using the doll or whatever you want to call it to create those poses so that you have them ready to go when you get to those scenes. Will help to speed up your process. And then props and texture. So save time by copy pasting repeated elements like buildings, trees, furniture, etc. So I feel, especially if your characters are in a certain environment, it just behooves you to have like certain brushes, and it behooves you to have like certain objects you can just pop in that will make things like so much easier for your workflow. Stealthy Mouse, squeak squeak, what is up? No, the stream was not canceled, it was delayed. Cod said, they have assistants in some cases, even studios, so don't compare yourself to them. Yes, yes, yes. Being an original is like a whole different ball game. Like there's so many aspects of it that are just so different that I would say it's really important to um remember to be kind to yourself overall. Like we've talked about it a little bit before, but I think it's even more important to understand that do not fall into the loop of thinking like, oh, I want to be like this original, when that original may have 5 people working for them, or that studio may have 10 people working for them and you're just one person. Like it's awesome to develop all of those skills. I think like learning how to use onomatopoeia, learning how to, render, like all of that's really important and can help you know how you want your comic to look, so when you do hire out, you can, express specifically how you want the comic to look, or you can, point to references. Like all of that will be very beneficial, but I just feel like be careful when, especially for the contest, putting all of that on yourself when you can fix the comic if you become an original. Like that's the thing. Like if you become an original, this version of the comic is going to come down and you're going to start over and you're going to work with an editor at Webtoons until those first 3 episodes are amazing. So focus more on finishing the project over making the contest entry overly beautiful or overly hyper detailed. Uh, Rosu said, I'd say use reference sheet as guidelines rather than copy paste them if you're trying to learn to draw. So this is, I agree with that. Yes. I was saying in this instance, if you can copy paste something for the contest, especially if you're running behind, like a lot of people are, like that would be more beneficial than spending the time to learn to draw the like let's say you have one panel where there's a car in it and you don't know how to draw cars. It might be better to just insert a car into the panel opposed to drawing it in this instance, because like who knows, like it could take you forever to be able to figure out how to draw it and you've wasted all of that time when you could have been working on other panels. So that's why I'm like, you have to kind of like at this point gauge like what's worth you what's worth your time. So that's just my stand on that. Kilton said, I recently started watching guys who criticize bad webtoons, and I remember all of them criticizing 3D backgrounds and excessive rendering. I brought anxiety upon myself. Yeah, so here's the thing about this. Yes, I feel like there are instances where the 3D backgrounds do bother a lot of people, but I also feel like there are tons of super popular webtoons that use 3D backgrounds, and it's very clear that it's a 3D background, and the readers do not care. So there's like a little bit of a balance there, I think, where like there's a disconnect from a creator standpoint and from a reader standpoint, because a lot of readers, I mean, they keep you doing it. So obviously, like maybe readers, like it bothers them a little bit, but not enough for them not to read it. So that's where I'm like, you've kind of got to balance that out. Okay, so this is where I was talking about working in batches. And this, I feel like, has been like the most productive part of my own process. And I feel like working in batches is like making myself more efficient. So instead of completing one episode at a time, I've been trying to do like, let me sketch everything, then let me ink everything, and then it goes off to the colorist, but then I would color, and then finally I can add all of those special effects, the textures, the onomatopoeia, like that sort of thing. And I feel like it kind of keeps me in a certain flow, which I feel like it's beneficial and not beneficial. It all depends on like your workflow. Like maybe you feel like you're more accomplished if you complete one episode at a time. But I'm just saying, like, I feel like there's instances where you have to figure out your workflow. And for me, like doing all of the complicated panels first has been like a burden off of me because I can do like a quick panel like super fast, and it makes me feel really productive to finish a more complicated panel than a quick panel. So I feel like it's all kind of like roughly, you know, navigating what is going to work for your process over just, you know, YOLOing it and be like, I guess I'm going to color today. I guess I'm going to do onomatopoeia today. And it's just like, dude, all of your chaos is making you feel not accomplished. And so this way, it's kind of like, okay, all of the sketches for everything is done. All of the storyboarding is done. Like, I feel like that puts like so much of a burden off of you to be like checking things off of the list, and you can really see and gauge your process. Beanworm said, drawing a floor plan of the scene helps too, so that you remember where everything is in relation to each other. Ooh, that's super smart. I don't know if I've ever done a floor plan. That might be something I'll consider in the future. Like, I wish I had done that to an extent now that you've brought it up, but I also feel like I don't know if it would have been worth it for me, just because, like, the characters are in an arena, so it's just an open space, but it might have been nice to know what the arena specifically looks like opposed to the way I have it drawn. Mm. Peter, hello. Finish is better than perfection. Original One Punch Man had rough art, very rough. Yeah, I agree. So did Mob Psycho. Rosu said, true, and I agree. I meant more characters rather than backgrounds. I'm for 3D assets to speed up process. Yes. I agree with you. I do think like we do need to be careful about like you still want to improve as an artist in my opinion. So you don't necessarily want to rely on 3D assets all of the time. Um Cod said, I agree. Only thanks to work in batches, I'm able to draw my comic weekly. Yes. Also, having a strategy for what you're going to do in the week is helpful. Chainsaw Maniac said, I usually work panel to panel, so I finish a panel up before I head on to the next panel, but I limit the time I spend on a panel depending on its importance. I really think it's what helps you, and this has just been what's helping me at the moment, and it could be because of like how chaotic my life is right now. Rena said, it keeps the art style more consistent if you do batches like that too. I think that yes and no, because I feel like it depends on where you're at in your like art journey. Like, I think you could improve somewhat, maybe. Like, I feel like there's a lot that goes into this because I even find myself understanding certain things more as I draw it. So I feel like my episode 3 might look slightly different from my episode 1, just because like I feel like I'm learning so much and figuring out so much as I keep going. Kilton said, I sketch the entire chapter and then go frame by frame because I get bored too easily. I don't know. I'm kind of working in sequence, which I'm enjoying. So I don't know. I feel like maybe I am going panel to panel too, but I don't know. I'm kind of just rolling with it. Like I'm doing this batch thing right now, but ask me in a month and be like, "Are you still working in batches, Apollo?" And I'll be like, "No, that didn't work anymore." Yes. I'm trying to shout out more creators. Poyo said, Faith and Chains. Yeah. I'm trying to like make sure that the weekly update can spotlight a lot of creators as much as possible. So I'll be including them on all of my slides going forward for the weekly update. Like we figured out what the vibe is for the weekly update now. Crockett, hello. Hi, Pantheon. Can you please review um I'm blanking. Mimi? Art, it's so amazing. So I'm not doing reviews right now, but maybe I'll add it to the dramatic reading that I'm planning to do very soon. I have read that one and I do really like it a lot. The art is so cool. Like it has like all of these really cool perspective shots, and like some of the panels are so emotional. Like it eats and leaves no crumbs. Definitely check it out. Like if you guys have not read it or looked at it, like it's a really cool series. The creator's super nice too. Okay, so my whole theory in working in batches before we move on, this is why I think it works. This method, it helps to reduce like the context switching. Like I feel like you have to use different parts of your brain to do different things. And if you do something repetitive, it gets a little easier. So if you do all this sketching, like you don't have to think, you just kind of like, I'm doing sketching right now. And if you're doing all, like it's all a different mindset sort of thing. And so I think that's what helps make the flow a little better. All right, so here's my question to the community. What is the status of your Webtoon entry? Like, where are you guys at? Like, what's going on? Where are we? Are we completed? Are we done? Are we freaking out? Like, are you like me and you're just like, I'm just trying to finish? Like, I cannot think about the status. I'm just trying to finish. So, I don't think I'm going to do Q&A tonight. Like, I'm so sorry. I yapped for too long, and I think I'm going to go and just chill a little bit. So if there are any immediate questions, please put them in the chat. I'll answer them very briefly, and then I will be moving on. Jay said, excited for the dramatic reading. Will be my first time hearing one. Ooh, yeah. So I do have a playlist of the dramatic readings already. So if you want to check those out, you can. Those are older ones. But long story short, I want to do one this week if possible. Worst case scenario, I'll do it next week. But I just feel like that'll be so much fun. And it'll be a chance for all of us to support each other and all of us to kind of like just amp everybody up, like really give everybody like a big push for their series. Like I feel like that's so important. Like you guys have no idea, I think, the amount of impact that we can have on each other just by leaving a comment. Like that can really help to motivate a creator, like more than you know. So I've been going through and leaving comments on all of the people's comics that are in the Discord that I'm in, and I've been trying my best to look at other comics on the platform as I get on. So like, you know, let's just keep commenting on people's stuff. Let's give them likes and sub if you really enjoy it. Like do all of the things. Like it does not cost you anything to do a like, to give a heart. King, still in episode 1 rendering. Do not render too much. I will come and find you. Young PJ said, about to finish chapter 2 sketches. Ooh, nice. I'm very excited. Like, let's see chapter 2 sketches. Let's go. Octo said, just uploaded chapter 2 yesterday, 4 more to go. What's the name of your series? We need to check it out. Like, leave a link down below, comment down below, whatever you want to do. Very excited to hear what your series is. Oh, also for anybody who is entering, like if you want to leave comments down below about the name of your series, like that'll be so helpful for me whenever I'm going through and checking out people's series, because I want to support, especially people who support me. So like I will definitely check out your comic and whatnot. I just need to know the name of it. And I always leave comments on everything that I read. Miss Milan said, will the dramatic reading be live? Yes. They are all live. Like you get my commentary, you get my terrible voice acting. I like to explain the dramatic reading this way. I am the most extra that I can be in those readings. So I take on all of the brunt of being super entertaining, and you guys get all of the secondhand embarrassment. The Chainsaw Maniac said, I'm mostly just trying to get as much out of the contest as possible. Yes, 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 yes. Use webtoons like they use you. Just saying. Ren said, I just published the cover. Haha, I'm gonna start posting weekly though. Gonna start posting this weekend. Ooh, please let us know the name of your series. I'm super excited. Super excited. I want to read it. I want to see what you've made. Thor said, yes, I can't wait for the dramatic reading. Yes, 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 yes. It's gonna be hype. I promise. I promise. Okay, so it doesn't look like there are any questions. So thank you so much for joining. I will definitely do my best to stream again this week. Be expecting something very fun. I'm going to try and mix it up a little bit. I feel like all we've been doing is the weekly review and the newsletter every week, and that's boring. So I want to do something different for my next video. So just be expecting something a little bit more. I was about to say spicy, but I don't think it's spicy. Just be expecting something a little more fun. Ren said my comic's name is My Seven Daily Sins. Okay, interesting, interesting. You've got my interest piqued. I can't wait. No, it won't. It might be traumatic, but no, I think it's mostly just fun. Like it's a good time. Like all we do is crack up. All right, guys. So thank you so much for jumping on. I will catch you all in the next video. Here is my creator shout out. It goes to the amazing series entitled Cybele. You can pause the screen to read it, but look at that art style. Like, look at this. It's just so good. They are creating a series. It was just released recently and it is in the supernatural genre. It has a lot going for it. I've read it and let me just tell you, the cliffhanger in episode 2 is diabolical and I am not happy about it. I do not understand why someone would do this to me, why they would make me suffer like this. And I just want to say to Prince Boring, if you do not release episode 3 within the next few weeks, I'm coming after you. You're in timeout. You are you are making me not happy, but also happy in the greatest way possible. So please support the creator. Like, the art style is amazing. The character designs are amazing. The mood, the tone, everything is so good. It's such a fun series. Also, guys, I got fan art for me and the freaking intern. The romance continues. They were not brought up this episode, but like, look at this. It's so good. And I love the fact that I have a crown and I'm sitting on a throne. And that intern, they better do right by me or else. Like, this is probably, and I feel like I don't mean this disrespectfully to anyone who makes fan art. I just feel like this is my favorite one right now because, like, it's so crazy to have something that is like an inside joke in the community that just like cracks me up so much. Like, every time I see it and I see this little intern like sweating and being like, oh my god, here's the newsletter, and me just being like, dude, I see what you're doing. Oh man, I love it so much. Thank you so much to the creator who made I should say